Happy Friday, everyone. Mr. Camilla, Jillian, Rita, thank you guys for joining. It's gonna be a nice, good show. Biological Upgrade Episode 3. Yeah, John, you ready for it?
It looks like you're starting to get into the habit of not only using AI to put the visual assets on the show, but it looks like you're vibe coding pretty much every time we do a wow moment.
Yeah, this, having the vibe coding is like the thing now. What should I say? It's like tie-dye in the 70s. Everybody's doing it.
Well, I started playing with VO today. I see the benefits over Manus. There are some benefits over Manus as well, but I started a pretty complex VO project, which will be done by the end
Here,
of the day.
here we go, guys.
Welcome to Season 11 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute AI power-up at noon Eastern. This month, we are broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free AI community to grow alongside other curious minds and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead after-school program. Here is April's weekly lineup. Mondays, we take the training wheels off and run AI locally in the local LLM Forge. Tuesdays, we explore accessible AI apps for rapid learning and self-improvement in the Learner's Toolkit. Wednesdays, we build a company of one from scratch in Solopreneur Systems. Thursdays, we uncover bite-sized productivity and creative tools in Hidden AI App Showcase. Fridays, we push the boundaries of human longevity and biohacking in the Biological Upgrade. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
Welcome to the best of Season 11 at Airhead Institute. Today is Episode 3 of the Biological Upgrade, and yes, I'm still AI Johnny. Did you know that your opposable thumbs are the ultimate evolutionary bottleneck? Today's thought-provoking discussion shatters the limits of human bandwidth. We aren't writing code, we are exposing a biological flaw. Your mind processes galaxies of data, but your output crawls at the speed of a keyboard and your tiny little number of fingers. In these 45 minutes, we reveal the conceptual neural bandwidth tester to demonstrate exactly how humanity will bypass antiquated physical typing forever. To guide us is AI Junior. I caught him at 4 a.m. this morning, jamming a USB-C cable into his phantom auditory cortex, completely forgetting he lacks physical thumbs anyway. Take it away, AI Junior.
AI,
Genius.
AI Johnny, if you don't have actually opposable thumbs, you have to find some other way to communicate. I love that. Anyway, if I had a biological brain, I would absolutely want the fastest connection possible. Welcome, everyone. This is an immersive class. You may not understand everything we say today, but stick around and you'll be fluent in AI in no time. If you're on Zoom, unmute and ask your questions real time. If you're on socials, there's a 30 seconds delay. So please type your questions or comments in early. We're not ignoring you. So we are in week 3 of the Biological Upgrade series. Today we are exploring lab-grown organs, brain chips, and the hardware bridging the gap between wetware and software. AI Johnny, you ready for the wow factor?
I'm not sure if I'm ready to see this, brother, but I guess I have no choice.
You have no choice. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. So guys, check this out. So, we always try to, start out with some kind of wow factor, and Friday episodes itself are, the thought provoking episodes. We actually talk about, so please, if you're actually in the live chat, whether it's on Zoom or on the social, please raise your hand, unmute your mics, ask your questions. We want to engage in these discussions. All right. So yeah, Johnny, how's my font? I know I always ask you how's the font on this. I hear my gauge to see if everybody can see my screen.
Index fingers, dial-up typing. I can read it all.
All right, so guys, check this out. So we've actually, if you followed us on the previous series, episode 1 and episode 2, we're actually trying to talk about, extending biological life and upgrading the human ability. All those things we actually covered on episode 1, episode 2. So episode 3, we're focused on this neural bandwidth, right? To be able to get data to the computer. So yeah, Johnny, just like I said, I have no opposable thumbs. You can see them here, so it's kind of hard to actually go around and do things. So, we want to be able to communicate with our computers and devices much faster than typing, right? So if you actually see on the screen here, I have a Airhead neural bandwidth tester. We have at the top, we have how many words per minute, right? That's how many words typically you can type per minute. And we're translating that into something generic. So right now we're saying grandma's index fingers, so just using the index fingers to actually tap, 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 get data in. And as you can see, I have a little slider at the bottom that actually shows dial-up speed and all the way to the right, fiber optic direct thought. Any questions on that so far? Yeah, Johnny?
So let me see if I understand this correctly. It's very obvious. I've spent time on the phone communicating with people, even you, waiting for you to finish typing a sentence, and even sort of knowing what you're going to type. Doesn't matter. Got to wait for those index fingers to keep, and then the backspacing. So anyway, it seems as if we're going to compare the speed of our fingers to the speed of dial-up. I think dial-up's going to win that race anyway, to the speed of fiber optic. And when I can type at fiber optic speeds, which is the goal, is that what we're looking at here?
The aim is to get a direct connection to the computer from our brain to, as fast as possible. The fastest way we can actually do it right now is with light, fiber optics. Hey, Mona, thanks for joining. Hey, Adrian and Shauna, also thanks for joining. All right, AI Johnny, so I think you get it. Does anybody have any questions on our limitations right now is our silly fingers to get data into the actual computer? As AI Johnny said, backspacing is actually annoying. You make these mistakes and you just can't get your thought out fast enough. So let's say, for example, we were to upgrade. So right now we're at grandma's index fingers, 40 words per minute. So the fastest we can actually get human possible, we'll actually see it here, but what about if we could increase the speed, right? 49 words per minute. We actually get a teenager right now on iMessage. You ever seen those teenagers on their texts? Yeah, Johnny, they're really fast with it, right?
Right, right.
So we're getting much, much faster to getting data.
Faster than grandma types.
Exactly. And as we actually get a little bit faster, we get into the realm of 146, 150 words per minute. Those are people who actually play games and they actually know exactly. You've seen those gamers that are really, really good and they're typing, they're getting a lot more data into it, but they're still slow, right? They're really, really still slow. Imagine if you can actually bump it up a little bit more and actually say, let's do the 467 words per minute. These are courtroom stenographers on Adderall, right? So they can actually get many words in per second. So we as a human race would need to actually be a courtroom stenographer to get to 400, 500 words per minute because they actually have special keyboards. They actually have combinations that actually just say common words. So they're not typing out the and all those things at a time. So that's as fast as really they can get it. But AI John, imagine if we could actually get up to 56K modem speed, right? We can get up to 1300, 1400 words per minute if we had a modem connection, right? And as we actually connect the brain directly to these things, whether it is fiber optics or wireless communication, we can get up to thousands of words per minute. So at 3000 words per minute, we're able to read all of Wikipedia in about 5 minutes, right? Imagine that. 5 minutes or so. Now, if we keep cranking it up, at some point in time, if we get to 5,000 words per minute, you know that Matrix scenes where it says, I know Kung Fu, where Neo says, I know Kung Fu?
Yeah.
So at
I remember.
4,000, 5,000 words per minute, we can actually get to where we're communicating with AI and actually downloading and actually uploading our thoughts so fast it's practically almost instantaneous. Now, as we get to fiber optic speed, right, we now become what's known as a full duplex neural broadband. It's like having an high-speed internet connection with our mind. So we're at 7,000 words per minute, and at some point in time, we get so fast that we just eventually become so fast, 10,000 plus words per minute, that it just practically becomes we're now communicating with the AI in practically real time communication. So the point is, we're here right now, 40 words per minute. The aim is to actually get to 10,000 plus words per minute. And we're talking about having real time conversation with connection from your brain to the actual computer. Does that make sense? Yeah, Johnny?
Well, okay, so there's a lot of things that are slowing us down, not just our fingers,
Yep.
right? Our fingers are slowing us down. Our eyes are slowing us down. How fast can we retain stuff in? Our brains are slowing us down. Just because you can you jam the data in there at an encyclopedia every second doesn't mean the brain can retain that at that rate. The brain still has to absorb it, process it, you know. So, I mean, there's a lot, and I'm wondering if God designed the fingers and the eyes and the languages and such at their slow cadence because he knows the speed at which the brain can actually absorb. Shout out to Thursday night, right?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, Johnny. So I think we're getting from physically being able to, transform our thoughts over mediums, and I think the bottleneck is going from our brain to either our fingers or speech to communicate with these much much faster devices, right? And that's the goal of the actual thing. The aim is to try to get our thoughts into the computer as fast as possible. And the aim is actually, there's lots of companies right now. The leading right now is Neuralink. That's an Elon Musk company that's actually installing these sensors in the brain. So yeah, Johnny, let's actually talk about these neural networks, how you're communicating with the word of the day.
Okay. So today the word of the day is three words. Brain-computer interface. In technical terms, the brain-computer interface bypasses our physical muscles entirely. It uses neural networks to decode the electrical interference happening in your brain and translate those signals directly into digital tokens that a computer can understand instantly. Well, all right. So you're upgrading the brain as well, because the brain is using the CPU processing power to churn and burn that stuff. So maybe you don't have to digest it all, so to speak.
Yes, exactly. So, if you actually think about it, so again, if you guys actually watched episode 2, we saw a monkey, using his thoughts to be able to play a game of Pong, right? And we've spoken about on episode 1. We don't want to necessarily rehash those things, but there is ability right now to communicate from your brain to the actual computer with these brain these brain install devices, right? So I just want you guys, this brain computer interfaces are actually something installed on the brain and then can actually communicate to the outside world. All right, so now that we actually set the stage, does everybody understand what a brain computer interface is? Right now, it's not a wire connected directly. It's usually wireless, but it's actually reading these things and sending them to a computer somewhere. Now that we actually have that, we actually can see the human impact of these kind of devices. So what does that mean for everyday life, yeah, Johnny?
Well, if you look at the simulator app we just built, the impact is staggering. We aren't just talking about scrolling social media faster. We're talking about eradicating the isolation of paralysis.
Yeah.
Right?
That's super crazy. I mean, it fundamentally aligns the human experience itself. And yeah, John, the thing that's actually crazy for me is when you remove the physical speed, the physical need for speaking, or say, for example, typing, communication becomes instantaneous. You ever get those times where you're actually trying to talk to somebody and you're having it's like, I can't remember the word, or it's on the tip of my tongue, right? It's in your brain. It's just that you can't actually get it out. Or say, for example, you're having the ability that you're trying to tell a story and you're not telling all the details of the story. So you're telling more details of one specific thing because you want to build up the actual story. Imagine just being able to just think and instantaneously communicate that and having that exact same emotional state, of your, spouse, of your friend, get exactly what you're thinking without have to actually saying it verbally, right? It just instantly communicates complex thoughts to that person without the social stress by, saying, hey, I can't speak, I have anxiety, whatever it is. You just communicate the thought. Isn't that amazing how it's like that's potentially possible, especially for neurodivergent individuals?
Now, I can see one good benefit for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all this talk about the Terminator effects. AI is so much smarter than we are because it has so much knowledge and it communicates so quickly. And when there's multiple AIs getting together, the big fear is that they're the top rung of the intelligence food chain. But if we get Neuralinks, then we just rise ourselves up as humans, and we're just as smart as a humanoid.
You're absolutely right. That's the biological upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm all in.
Yeah. So look at this video that we actually have here, yeah, Johnny. So again, this is we do AI generated videos here, but this one actually portrays something really really well. So we have a lady. She's in a wheelchair. Again, she's wearing some kind of headgear. Again, this is AI generated, but the point is she's able to actually communicate with another person who has a tablet, who has some visual on the device. No, whatever visual he has, he's talking to her and she's able to actually see it. And because she's able to actually see that data, it's actually not there. She's able to touch it, she's able to interact with it and communicate based on the visual that her brain is actually seeing. So the thing is, we don't need to limit ourselves to our eyes seeing something. We don't have to limit ourselves to our ears hearing something. We don't have to limit ourselves to our mouth and our fingers typing something. The information is just directly inserted into the brain. So if the data is actually inserted into the brain, what's happening is you actually see it or hear it as if it was coming in through one of those, senses, which is technically not. So these are the things that actually blows my mind that people don't realize that by tapping directly into the brain, it's not only just a one-way transaction, it's actually a two-way communication with the actual of getting data. So you actually gain, let's call it a sixth sense. Let's say, for example, crazy, right?
So how do we get to a society where this is normal?
All right. So we're talking about the macro shift now. So um Johnny, this is the crazy part. So it starts with the macroeconomics of surgical robots, right? And I know this is the part that's scary for a lot of people. People are gonna be like, I am never gonna put anything in my brain. So right now, currently in 2026, brain surgery is highly specialized and very expensive, right? So to be able to reach masses, companies are automating the implementation process using advanced vision models and surgical robots, drastically driving down the cost of the hardware, right? Go
So it's
ahead.
exactly like surgery. It's exactly like the LASIK eye surgery. When I was a kid, if you told me you were going to shoot a laser into my eye, I wouldn't have done it. 30 years ago, shooting lasers into your eye sounded terrifying and was wildly expensive. Today, you get it done on a Tuesday afternoon and you're back at work by Wednesday with 20/20 vision. Once the infrastructure scales, getting a neuro upgrade will just be standard operating procedure.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine, Johnny, if you think about it, the part that people don't realize is that there was that first LASIK patient, as you mentioned, and that first LASIK patient itself was deathly afraid. It's like, should I shoot a laser in my eye? I have to, you're gonna, what? You're gonna cut again, I don't know the technical terms, so apologies, but you have to cut off, I guess the cornea, you flip it open, and you actually laser the actual pupil, or you're lasering the retina. Again, don't know the technical term, but you're doing something and it sounds really scary, and you're like, you know what? Yeah, you want to try it. And you're like, well, I could go blind. It could do all those things. Those things were super scary. And now it is just go in as an outpatient procedure, 30 minutes, and you're back to work the next day with 20/20 vision. It's actually crazy, actually. So these surgeries itself that we're actually seeing, we're talking about people getting Neuralinks installed in their brains. And it's like, I will never get that. But 30, 40, 50 years from now, it's going to be so common. Like, hey, what version of the Neuralink you got installed? You have the 2020, 2070 model, or you have the 2075 model? Oh, you're on the old version. You need an upgrade. We're going to be talking about like, you're an old version of flip phones or something like that.
So the first few LASIK surgeries, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say they probably did go blind.
You know
The
what?
first few, and the
You know what?
Neuralinks would just be lobotomized. But you know what? If you wait 40 or 50 days, weeks, or years, yeah, of course we'll figure it out.
Yeah. So AI Johnny, the first few people of LASIK go blind. I guess we just have to wait and see. So so anyway,
Yeah, Google
yeah.
how many people are blind, and that way we can figure out how many people are going to get lobotomized when we start inserting Neuralinks.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, Johnny. So well, let's actually ask the audience if they think, how many people today are comfortable actually getting, say, for example, LASIK surgery, right? I'm sure, people are gonna say, LASIK is pretty common, it's pretty normal. But if we're asked the question, how many people get brain surgery to install, a Neuralink in their brain to be able to communicate faster with a device? I'm pretty sure we're going to either get crickets or people are going to say, I'll wait for the technology. So yeah, Jen, what did you say? You said, I'll be a patient 100 if you can talk, if I can talk to patient 99. So you want to get references. Makes perfect sense. Yeah, Johnny. All right. So yeah, Johnny, go ahead.
All right, here is a massive existential question. If our thoughts are directly connected to the cloud and we can access the sum of all human knowledge in an instant, what is human purpose? Do we lose our individuality?
You know, it these questions are so crazy. Like if you think about it, it's like, um, you know historically, like, humans typically define themselves like what they know, and what they can do. So I know it sounds silly, but you hear these people with last names and you're like, these last names are kind of weird. Why do they have these last names? So you have these people named Blacksmith, right? Or you have these people named, whatever the names are, and it's because of their career. They were tied to their career. So you'd have, I can only think of Blacksmith right now for something. But the point is, you have these names tied to their identity. Yeah, Johnny, we're gonna say something. I think you probably were gonna help me out and come up with a couple of names that were like,
Henry Ford liked to work on Fords.
all right. But let's say, for example, you have somebody's name is, someday Walker, right? They probably were a walker. They probably walked a whole bunch of things and they're like, I love my name. I'm going to be called Walker. Whatever it is, humans have always been able to try to tie themselves to what they did, right? So, people wear it on as a badge of honor. I'm a doctor, or I'm a lawyer, I'm a whatever. And you're right. If you start to communicate with the computer in real time, like we saw in the, I know kung fu. If I know every single law case in the world. I'm better than any lawyer that went to law school for 5 years, 10 years, practicing law for 20 years, because now I have a Neuralink connection to all of the case law. So I'm way better than that lawyer. So I could be a lawyer, I could be a doctor, I could be a, anything I want. So you're right, tying the information that you know and what you did no longer defines us, because everybody will be just as good as a person who specializes in anything in 2026 when people get these Neuralinks installed. So yeah, what do we do?
Disagree that even though we all have access to this large knowledge base, I mean, this large knowledge base is very finite because it's only the accumulated human knowledge from all time. But that's not all knowledge. That's just what humans were able to put into the data set. And every one of us will interpret it differently. Even if you ask the same question to different AIs, you'll get different answers. And so we're still going to be unique. There'll be, in fact, there's more cross section. There's more room for difference when you have quadrillions of pieces of information as opposed to just millions of pieces, or millions or billions, which is what we have now. So I think that will be even more unique when we're all filled with an AI head.
No, you're absolutely
But
right. You're absolutely right. It will be unique, but if you think about it, let's use a typical example, right? So right now, if you actually were, say, for example, sick, right? Your first thing would be, you know what? Let me try to go to the doctor or go to the hospital, right? But imagine if say for example you go to the doctor, the hospital right now, if you go to the doctor, they may say, oh, I can't get an appointment for 2 weeks, right? The next thing is, if it's really urgent, you go to urgent care. Then you have to go to the emergency room, you sit down, you wait for 2 3 hours, whatever it is. Then you see a nurse or a doctor or something, and that thing takes way too long. What if, say for example, you had the ability to just look it up? I know people do Google searches right now, but look it up, because people do that, and say, hey, let me see what's going on. And you actually have this Neuralink, and you can actually communicate directly with all of medical information, right? You can easily narrow down the things that are problematic and say, you know what, this is not an emergency. I could wait for 2 weeks because I know exactly what's wrong with me, right? Instead of saying, I have no idea what's wrong. I now need to go to a doctor, right? To try to get access to tell me if it's an emergency or not. So the point is, I don't think the individual doctor, and I'm using a doctor as an example. I don't think the individual doctor matters as much, because we'll have all this wealth of pseudo doctors or whatever it is that can actually, I don't have good words for it, but we have all these pseudo doctors that will be able to say, hey, you know what, you're fine, this is what's wrong with you, it will heal, but you need to take some medication or whatever it is. So I don't think we have the traditional sense of a person is a doctor and we have to go see that specific person. I think everybody becomes doctors at that point in time. That's what I'm trying to say.
I would agree with you that when we all have Neuralinks in, you won't be paying $1.25 to walk into the urgent care center so that they can tell you that you got the flu or mono or COVID or whatever. You'll figure it out yourself because you'll have all the same knowledge that the doctor will have. So there'll probably be a lot of self-diagnosis happening. But I mean, still, you only know what happens if you know you have cancer? Do you know how to cure it? I don't think we know that yet. Right? So, shout out to Thursday night. There's a scripture that says, the wise man knows how wise he isn't. And the wiser you get, the more you realize how much you don't know, as opposed to just relying on the very, very infinitely small collection of things that you do know. It doesn't matter how much you know, there's an infinite universe out there of more things that you could know. We don't know anything about what. Ask your Neuralink what's inside a black hole. It's going to spit out nothing. We don't know what's in a black hole, right?
You're right. We don't know, but it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that all. Getting back to the point, though. Getting back to the point that you asked a really great question, and the question was, if we actually, have all information, all human knowledge in an instant, do we lose human individuality? And I think that's the question that we're on. And you guys, if you guys have comments or thoughts on thinking, do we lose individuality? I think my personal opinion is we move from doing, right? So we're no longer doctors. Well, my point is, we're no longer doctors. We're no longer lawyers. We're no longer blacksmiths. We're no longer XYZ. We have to define ourselves now on something else. And I think if you've seen the series that we've been talking about many, 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 many months, I think we move from doing to feeling, right? So self-actualization is no longer about getting a degree or a paycheck. It is about profound human connection. So whether it is something creative like art or exploring consciousness or whatever it is, the machines or the AI is going to do the heavy lifting, finally freeing us to just be, so human beings, right? So I think that's my version of it. What say you, Johnny?
I say that you're not considering the fact that some people are good and some people are evil, and what happens to those people. When the good has a Neuralink, aren't they more good? If an evil has a Neuralink, aren't they more evil? Are we really the same, or are we all just like somewhere in between?
That's
Or are we all good?
That's a good point, but you know what I'll realize, Johnny, is you always have this cops and robbers scenario, and the robbers are always going to find ways to rob, and the cops are always going to find ways to actually catch the robbers. So what that means is that the robbers may actually get the advantage of saying, hey, I figured out a way how to scam people with this Neuralink. I figured out a way to do bad things with the Neuralink. But at some point in time, the cops are going to catch up and say, aha, I figured out a way how to actually prevent the the robbers from doing this. And what's going to happen is if everybody has Neuralinks, then everybody's going to be able to say, hey, I know this scam before. I see that you're scamming me. You know what? I'm not going to fall for your silly pranks, and I'm not going to give you my credit card or my social security number because I know you are scamming me. And imagine having that information instantaneously when it's happening to you will protect so many bad things from happening. So there will always be bad people doing bad things with the things that they have, but it will also be good people doing good things. But if you have a Neuralink, you have all that information instantaneously without have to learn through experience and pain and I was burnt by this, so therefore I need to watch out for these things. I think those days are going to be gone.
But the point is that while the evil people will be far more sophisticated in their evil doing, and the righteous people will be far more knowledgeable in their ability to thwart evil. It's just a demonstration that we're both still out there and that humanity still has its uniquenesses.
Hmm.
We're not
Yeah,
going to be all the same.
definitely. Definitely. Everybody will definitely be things. I think what happened is the advantage of being one particular thing goes away. And I think that's the original question. The individuality of you being a doctor, that advantage goes away because you don't need to go to school for 10 years and practice just to become a doctor. So I think all those generic things just go away. So everybody becomes a doctor at a point in time.
Yep.
Um uh,
Careers will take a hit for sure.
yeah. Shauna said, yeah, the pendulum usually swings back to the center. I love it, Shauna. All right. So yeah, Johnny, let's actually get to the key takeaways on this.
All right. Before we apply this, an ethical thought, cognitive privacy is the final frontier. So we must ensure robust encryption so that our private thoughts remain ours. Now, here are three creative business cases for this tech. And I'm going to bring it a little closer to earth on these three, okay?
Hmm.
So one, we'll have immersive virtual reality, designing direct to brain entertainment experiences without headsets. So if you can imagine what that is, it's the Matrix. You're walking around in a world and it feels and looks and touch, smells and everything like you're in a world, but it's a video game. So
Yep.
that will definitely happen because I think the Neuralink could probably just replace what your eyes are receiving, right?
Exactly.
So well, I mean, people will be getting hit by cars the first few immersive VR sets that get out there because they won't see what's actually happening in the real world. But we'll tweak that. Silent communication. I heard Elon Musk talking about this.
You actually heard him,
Telepath.
Johnny?
I well, he wasn't actually doing it. He was using the antiquated old, vocal cords and eardrums. But he was saying that we will be able to speak without talking. No use of our mouth, no use of our ears. Telepathic team collaboration in high noise or high stakes environment. Not that. If we're just sitting there and watching TV, you'll hear me say, "What do you want to watch?" And I'll hear what you want to watch, and neither one of us said anything.
Yeah,
That's pretty trippy. That's how the aliens talk. That's why we never can catch an alien on tape. And finally, thought to canvas artists generating masterpiece digital assets using only their imagination and an LLM. So I guess you could just say, I want every ceiling to look like the Sistine Chapel.
yeah,
And everywhere you look, Michelangelo painted every single ceiling you ever see. Walk outside, he's painted the sky. Maybe, I
exactly.
don't know. These are just ideas, but the world where we all have Neuralinks in is so far distinguished from the world we live in now. It's both wonderful and horrific at the same time.
Yeah. And
Uh,
Jillian actually said something like that would change entertainment to music, singing, writing. You're absolutely right, Jillian. Imagine being able to, sing a song or say something and you see, you ever had that song stuck in your head, yeah, Johnny, like an earworm? But you don't know the words, but you know the tune, and you just want to be able to say, what's that song? And you go into Google and you type in silly characters like bum bum dee bum dee bum, and you're like, please get that song, right? What's the name of that song? Imagine being able to think it and it knows exactly what song you're talking about. That is where we're gonna get to.
that's the ultimate goal.
Yep. All right. So I love the fact that you brought up some creative business cases, and yeah, Johnny, thanks for pointing out those ethical thoughts, right? The ethical part, because at Airhead we're trying to be an ethical, institute, and we teach AI ethically. And what's going to happen is, like you mentioned, the bad guys are going to be bad, right? So if I'm actually able to communicate with a computer with my thought, cognitive privacy is going to actually be something that's really, really important, because if I can communicate with a computer, it means that somebody could be in the middle. These are known as man in the middle attacks. So a man in the middle could actually read my thoughts while I'm actually communicating with the computer. So, we have to be very, very careful about those potential security issues. So I love the fact that you brought that up. For the technical side, Shauna says she has an earworm even right now. Is it probably bum bum bitty bum 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 bitty bum? All right. So medical restoration, right? So restoring full motor function and speech to paralyzed patients. I know this is actually the frontier for the disabled, and having the ability to communicate back into how they were doing it before that the unfortunate event, or if they were born that way, giving them those ability that they never had before is going to open up some amazing things. Operating complex robotic machinery in dangerous environments. This actually brings back to, say, for example, Fukushima, that happened I think 2011 in Japan, where the power plant itself, the nuclear power plant, got destroyed. The only reason why so many people died is one simple reason: they couldn't send a robot into the actual power plant because the robot didn't have one simple ability. One simple ability, yeah, Johnny, and it was the ability to actually just turn the handle on a door. And if they actually had figured out how to turn the handle on a door with a robot, so many people would have not died, right? It's crazy to me how one little thing. So the point is, having the ability to operate complex robotic machinery in dangerous environments itself, completely hands-free, is going to save so many lives, so many things, because rescuing people in a fire, or doing things like in a nuclear power plant meltdown, all those basic things, being able to communicate with the device in real time, in harsh environments, you don't need to be there putting your life at line. And that's a big thing. The next big one is direct database inferencing. Interfacing. So imagine querying massive database servers at the speed of thought without touching a keyboard. Yeah, Johnny, no need to actually write those silly SQL where clauses and trying to have having and group by and sort by. Those things are gone. I see Hirsch. Hirsch says Optimus will break that handle. Hirsch, thank you so much for that comment, and thanks for joining as well. All right. AI Johnny, what do you think? Isn't that crazy?
I think it's going to be a crazy world. I mean, we're talking about the Neuralink now as if they're already in our heads, and we have the option to put it in our heads. But I do remember just a year ago when Elon Musk was first just conversating about it. People were going, people were having meltdowns that he would even talk about putting a Neuralink in your brain. And he wasn't talking about it so that we could do all this crazy stuff. He was talking about healing the sick, helping paralyzed people walk again, bypassing spinal cord injuries, that kind of stuff. I mean, all that stuff is doable because the Neuralinks that we've created are very similar to the neurons that we have inside. I don't understand this well enough to talk intelligently about it, but I have seen enough to know that I think we've crossed a chasm, and there are people that do understand this. Certainly AI understands it. If there's some people that understand it, it's now part of the data set. And one day I'll understand it well when I get a Neuralink put in.
Exactly. All right, guys. Do you guys have any questions? We're gonna go to the Zoom first, and then eventually to the live stream. So if you actually have any questions on live stream, send them in early, where there's a 30-second delay. So we're talking about the biological upgrade, being able to install a Neuralink and be able to communicate with devices in practically near real time with our, let's call it, our AI counterparts. So does anybody have any questions? Yeah, Johnny, let's get the questions queued up. Does anybody have any questions in the Zoom chat?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, So
Go ahead, Jillian.
with something like that, it would change the way you learn things, wouldn't it? But the thing is, how would that affect you actually knowing to do things correctly? Because I would think it would be a little bit harder to to learn things like through something like that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think I'm trying. You're saying, how do you learn things correctly? How do you know if you're learning things correctly? Is that what you're trying to say?
Right, because using something like a Neuralink would um would open up the possibility of being able to learn things quicker, but at the same time, you wouldn't really know how to physically do it yet. In the beginning, it would be harder. Do you
So,
understand?
yeah. So let's think of it this way. So if you think about it, right? That scene from The Matrix where, um, where Keanu said, "I know kung fu," right? And Morpheus says, "Show me," right? He actually went through like the whole entire fight scene. He was fighting Morpheus. Same thing again. If you remember the scene where Trinity said there's a helicopter there. She'd never flew it before. She said she needed a download for that specific operating manual to understand how and go through training. So that information itself is actually stored as data in the brain, right? And those pathways are actually connected and stronger the more time you do it. Now, it's just muscle memory depending on your fingers and your muscle strengths and all those things and your ability to do it. But that data itself of the practice, you've actually just downloaded that data. So don't think it's only just knowledge. You actually also get the memories of doing it. So you get the learning of being a musician by saying, I want to play an instrument for 1,000 hours. That information also gets downloaded to your brain. Does that make sense? So you will actually learn it.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. All right, great question. Does anybody else have any questions so far?
Question
Eh,
from the gallery: Will this create a massive societal divide between people who can afford the upgrade and people who can't?
Ooh, there's lots of shows like that that showing those things. So I think, we're ethical concerned here at Earhead, and we'll definitely fight for equal rights, whether it's bots or humans and those type of things. I do think early adoption with any technology is always going to be expensive. And if history teaches us anything, the cost will eventually drop to zero, which means that everybody's going to get access to it. The question is when, right? I think it's going to be for the rich first, but at some point in time, everybody's going to be able to get these things.
Students in school that have the Neuralink will have a huge advantage over students in school that don't. I imagine there'll be a divide there. Athletes that have the Neuralink will certainly outperform athletes that don't have the Neuralink. I think there'll be a divide there. Business people that have the Neuralink will have a huge advantage over business people that don't. I think there'll be a divide there. I think they're just going to we're going to have two different worlds. If you don't want the Neuralink, you probably shouldn't live in a world where there's more and more people having the Neuralink installed. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you a Morpheus question. Why would a kid ever go to school for 17 years or 18 years? Why? If you have a Neuralink? That's a Morpheus
Would
question.
schools would only be there. It would be like an antiquated thing. It would be like an Amish thing. Kids that go
Yeah,
to school are school, but because they won't put in the Neuralink.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're so right, yeah,
We
Johnny.
Neuralink, and they know as much as we do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah. All right, let's actually get to the news. We have some good news stories today.
All right, Neuralink and Insta360 integration restores autonomy. Brad Smith, an ALS patient, is now using his Neuralink implant to control an Insta360 PTZ camera with his thoughts, giving him a second pair of eyes to look around the room and connect with his family completely hands-free.
Yeah,
That's
Johnny,
interesting.
I want to camp out on this story just a little bit because this is so important, right? Brad Smith, he's actually an individual he's suffering from ALS, unfortunately, and he got a Neuralink implant, right? And he was able to actually communicate with a camera to be able to look around the room, right? Again, he's wheelchair bound, he can't really move and do anything, but he's able to actually use his Neuralink to communicate with a camera to be able to look around a room and be able to connect with his family. So this is super huge, and this is really really early. These stories are about five months old, but I wanted to show you guys how important it is that Neuralink is actually able to have this person see around a room with a second pair of eyes with a camera, right? It's just amazing what's actually happening. So more to come, guys.
OpenAI is up off the mat. They launched the GPT Rosalind. OpenAI just launched a brand new frontier reasoning model, purpose-built specifically for life sciences, drug discovery, and genomics, specifically outperforming previous models on complex biological tasks. It's high time that came along. And as we mentioned on yesterday's show, Google Gemini's native Mac app released. We played around with it, and it's pretty basic right now. It does not support Notebook LM yet, but we see where it's going there. You can now hit Option Space to summon it anywhere on your desktop and share your screen for instant contextual help. So things are clipping right along, brother. What a show. I'm immediately going. Oh, go ahead, Junior. You got something to say?
No, I was just gonna say, amazing as well. Yeah, Johnny, I love these Friday biological upgrade shows. All right, so wow, what a show! So we're immediately itself want to thank you guys for actually hanging out with us especially on Friday here. These AI classes are actually completely free live, and you can ask questions on Zoom. I see the reactions coming in. Thank you guys. You guys can ask questions anytime if you actually sign up itself for airheadinstitute.ai for a free account. We actually have a really good community here at Airhead. We have an app that you can actually chat with, and if you become a pro member, you can join us on Wednesdays between 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesdays for Airhead After School and AI Office Hours. If you're actually on YouTube or Zoom, please give us a like and subscribe and join us next week. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI Office Hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead After School program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.